Control your friends. Okay. Disclaimer. I tried to abridge some details, both in attempt to make it shorter, and in order to avoid accidental recognition. If something is messy or unclear, it might have to do with said clumsy attempts. Background. I work in a community-related nonprofit. The chairman of the board, Anthony, not real name, is trying to get into a political career. It's no secret that Anthony and I do not see eye to eye ideologically. I try to be diplomatic about it for the most part. However, he makes it a point to both shoot down everything I say and attempt to steal it and present it as his own, while clearly not understanding any of it. I'll also note that part of my job is focused on minorities, which generally get either ignored or approached in a very clumsy manner. Recently, Anthony launched a policy open table, an idea that he stole and misunderstood from me, but that's a different problem, since I figured it's going to be a group of white men with ideas that are the policy equivalent of a stale instant vanilla pudding. I invited friends to join. There wasn't really any strategy involved, just people I appreciate and thought would want to participate. As we arrived, it became clear that I was right to a comical extent. Half the table was a group of white men, and the other side of the table was people I brought. The men Anthony invited didn't hide their disinterest and disrespect for whatever a group of women and other minorities, and ones who didn't bother themselves with respectability games at that, had to say, attempted to ignore or dismiss them. A couple of my friends were having none of it, and kept calling them out. They started arguing loudly. At some point, I got a text message from Anthony, sitting across the table, saying, "Control your friends. I can't have any discourse going like this." Malicious Compliance. Part 1. As I found the request incredibly ridiculous, I screenshot the conversation. After we left, I sent it in our group chat on WhatsApp. My friends, who were quite upset and frustrated, decided to put up a bit of a theater. Next meeting, I arrived with two of my most outspoken friends, Liz and Ray, except this time they showed up in full professional mode, equipped with a written agenda, references, and prepared talking points. They present themselves professionally, Liz being a lawyer, and Ray being a social worker with 5 years of field work down her belt. At first, they said nothing. As soon as I spoke, one of the men began arguing. I noted, "Ray?" Ray cuts him off, citing the precise numbers supporting our claim, where the numbers are from, and ended with a remark that this information was, in fact, freely available for anyone who made the minimal effort of looking it up. The man moves in obvious discomfort, but attempts to double down, now claiming that the plan we were suggesting is not legally plausible. Liz? Liz dryly quotes the exact law he was referring to, and without stopping to breath, explains precisely what the law in question does and does not cover. It is perfectly plausible, and in fact, was done before in less than example 1 and less than example 2. Again, pointing out that it was a non-vague, explicit wording. All it took was checking. The conversation got heated again, with Liz and Ray slipping back to calling out the other's misogyny, transphobia, racism and general incompetence. I wait a little before saying, quietly, "Liz, Ray, that's enough." Liz and Ray, as we agreed on ahead of time, immediately stop arguing. Anthony looks slightly terrified. Malicious Compliance. Part 2. The second part wasn't really orchestrated, but was way more satisfying, since we started talking about politics a lot more. As a result of the inciting incidents, mapped all of the resources and players on the field, created work plans, and so on. We realized we could very well organize for real. So we founded an operation group. As of last week, members of the newly founded operation group met with the VP, who happened to be my direct boss, and the CEO on 2 different topics. Hand 2 position papers regarding policies, listing precisely the same things that were on our agenda to begin with. Now, instead of nicely discussing it casually with Anthony and his friends, allowing him to take credit for it and use it to his benefit, it was sent to the entirety of the board and overseeing committee, with the full backing of the VP and CEO, who pointed out publicly that it supports my work plan, which Anthony went out of his way to shoot down. At the moment, he's mailing me constantly asking me to schedule a meeting on integrating it into the organization's official policies. My boss replied politely on my behalf that I'm quite busy, and he will have to wait until I have the time for him. TL. Doctor. A higher-up wanted to dismiss policy changes, and demanded that I control the people who suggested them so they stop arguing. So I did, and now I have a lot more power to make them happen. So to be clear, Anthony likes stealing others' work and taking credit for it. In this case, you were able to steal back your idea, get it implemented, and take into account the very people Anthony was trying to exclude? Bravo! Well done! Especially when Anthony is all but asking you to do it. Well, he asked you to control your friends. You controlled them. He lit his explosive, he blew up. Thank you for all that you have done. I enjoyed your story, but I enjoy more so the results of your revenge. You and your friends' amplified effectiveness. Reading this brings joy to my shriveled heart. I find it hilarious when white men, of which I am one, feel extremely uncomfortable when challenged by other, i.e. non-white men. And they even think that feeling that way is unacceptable. And a lot less hilarious when because of that they shoot down good things for no good reason. I'm heartened by your successes. Thank you for all your efforts. This may have made my entire year. Nothing like a couple of war dogs straining at the leash to put the fear of whatever in people. And I fear someone will misconstrue me using dogs on this metaphor. Open to better suggestions. Beautifully done. Beautifully executed. I love it. Happy crying face. Good for you. There is no need to have another hateful group develop in this time and age.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.